6,000 employees and the director of maintenance. And what happened is that when I took over with personnel, and I said, I think that what we should do is let me start a class on cultural awareness. I said, that's a lot of the problem. So he said, well, fine, Bill. He says, go on and set it up. And he says, when you set it up, says, let me know on the first class that you're going to give. And he said, because I want me and my staff to be there. So I did. I set it all. I had it set up. And he and his staff was there. And so when I started, I said, I made the statement. I said, everyone has a certain amount of hate, prejudice, and fear. And I said, how you handle that fault determines the type of individual you're going to be. And so I went over with the program. And after we got through, the colonel and his staff and I, we stand there discussing it, you know, and this white foreman walked up and he thought he was going to really make a big deal in front of the colonel, you know, and he says, Petty says, I don't agree with what you said. I said, what do you mean? I said, he said, you said everybody was prejudiced. He said, let me tell you one thing, I am not prejudiced. He says, when we were colored. He says, I went to school with them colored boys, and said we played games together. And says we went to school together. Says we never had any problem. He says, I just want you to know that I'm not prejudiced. And I don't agree with what you said. I said, fine, maybe you're not. I said, but let me ask you a question too. I said, those colored friends you got, I said, did you ever ask them over to dinner? Well, no. I said, well, did you ever invite any of them over to your house for a party? Well, he said, no. I knew I had him going then. So I said, well, what would you say if one of your colored friends' son would marry your daughter? Oh, no, 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 no. I don't believe in that intermarriage. I don't believe in that intermarriage. So I looked at the colonel. I said, Colonel, I'll rest my case. The colonel said, Bill, you go on with that program. Says, we need it. Poor guy said, I felt sorry for the guy, to tell you the truth. He's blood red in the face because he just made a damn fool out of himself, you know.
Well, that shows you have a heart, but he obviously needed to be asked.
He didn't. The poor guy actually didn't realize that he was prejudiced because it never affected him. You see what I mean? And
well, in the culture he was living in, he was pretty liberal-minded.
Well, he thought. He thought. And but do you know what I did after that? Show you how things happen. See, we have a training deal. The damn training division picked it up. They had a cultural awareness to all the foremen all over the base. Then after a while, it spreaded to the other AMAs, to all the rest of the Air Force. Then all of a sudden, every individual at the base had to have a 2-hour cultural deal. And so I said, well, at least I've done a little something, you know. And, but it took a lot of work, and just like the supervisors. And then I made a real good deal. See, a lot of the, especially the top brass, they might have had a chauffeur, they might have had a cook or cleaning lady or stuff like that. And so what I did was, I told well, about 4 of us got together. I said, let's have a cocktail party out to my house. And I said, we're going to invite the general, his aides, and the top brass there at the base. So we did. We had a big party here, and all of them come, and one of the colonels, when he first come in, he says, they all call me Petty. He said, hey, Petty, said, I just want you to know, it says, my wife is Australia, says I married her when we was in Australia, and said we have some guests from Australia, and says we're going to have to leave early because we are going out to dinner. And he said, I just want you to know why we would be leaving. And so about this, they all got here about 4 o'clock. So then about 6 o'clock, he said, hey, Betty said, do you have a phone I can use? I said, yeah, right there. He said, well, he says, I don't think we're going to leave. He said, I just want to call them and tell them we're going to have to make another appointment just because we ain't leaving here. Mm-hmm. So we had I got a wet bar in there and everything. We had a hell of a good time. And you know what? After that, you'd be surprised at how things change.
No, I wouldn't be surprised.
And
that's
then,
what it takes.
The general got to the place that he called me and he says, Petty, you busy? And I said, well, not for you, General. He says, meet me out in the front of building 251. It says, we'll take a ride. So he always took his hat off, and he didn't drive his, he drove just a regular car. He didn't drive his with his street staff and everything on. So I walk out there and he'd pick me up, and we'd drive all around the base, shoot the shit on what I felt was going on or what should be done. And one day when he let me out of the car, the colonel happened to be coming out and he saw it. And so when I got to my office, my secretary says, the colonel wants to see you right away. I said, okay. So I went in and he said, Bill, what's the problem? Do we got a problem? I said, no, we have no problem. I said, the general, we just ride around every now and then. And I said, just talk about the base. He said, oh. So I thought we had a problem. I said, no, I always let you know what's going on.
When you started the cultural awareness class, when was that? Did you say 1963?
Yeah, about 1963. We started the cultural awareness class there at the base. And just to show you what happened is that we had what we call a upward mobility program. And all the women there within secretarial and clerk and all that kind. So I went to the colonel and I said, we got this upward mobility program, and I said, equal employment. And I said, we got instruments, we got hydraulics. I said, we got all these places. I said, that where women have a better dexterity with their fingers and everything, I said, that men do. And they were people that considered a desk all day long and, be comfortable about it. I said, so why don't we just recruit some women, out of these jobs and open up for them? He said, Bill, that's a good idea, fine. And so we did. Hell, we promoted, I bet you, I figured it out that one time. Out of the 6,000 employees we had, I promoted about 1,500 women that would, they made anywhere from $5,000 to $6,000 a year more than what they were doing with the little, clerk jobs. And then in electronics, we had a apprenticeship program coming in. So I told some of the girls, I said, hell, that's a good place for you guys. So I picked them, I went and talked to a lot of them and got that math back, because in electronics it takes a lot of math, to work out a lot of stuff. But anyway, I picked a group of them out. So they all took the test, and most of them come out on top, from the test. Well, I was off that week, and when I got back, they had interviewed for the apprenticeship, and they had 16 spots open. They had interviewed for the position, and they didn't have one woman that they'd picked out of the 16. So I had to sign off on all the promotions. So they brought it up there for me to sign off. And I said, wait a minute. I said, you don't have one woman on this profile. So they, electronic math. I said, math is math. I says, so I said, they're going to do it over again. I said, because if one of these girls, I said, filed a complaint, I'm going to be right there with them. So the colonel told the old black guy, said, do it all over again. The interview, and said, Bill will be there. I said it on the interview. You know what? We ended up with 12 girls on the 16. And out of the 12 we had, 4 men was on there. To graduate, 2 of the men had dropped out, and only 2 of the women had dropped out. So it's just the things that you have to go through. I had a name over there, though. They said, the word got out, said, he's a tough son of a bitch. He said, but he's fair. Yeah. And that's all you can do. Oh, I'd go in there and I'd raise all kind of hell. Even the colonel told him, he said, any time that Bill Petty is in your department and talking about our upward mobility program or equal employment program, he is talking for me. It's just like me being there. And after that, I had no problem. If I walk into a damn department, after a while you see the head running down. Bill, what's your problem? I said, nothing. I said, I'm just, coming through. I said, when I come through a lot, I said, the people see me, and I said, we don't have any problem, but I'm easy to talk to. So.
Well, who was this open-minded, is it Colonel that you had this success with? Because if he had gotten on board, it would have been hard to do.
General was General McClellan. And then the colonel was Davis.
Davis is
Colonel Davis.
And they're at McClellan?
Yeah, McClellan Air Force Base.
Okay. Okay, so you stayed there until you retired?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I retired. I stayed there.
And you lived in Woodland?
Oh, yeah.
So you managed to buy real estate eventually? Did you have to rent beforehand? And
oh, here?
yeah, you didn't tell me what happened in between. At first, they just, real estate agents just